An awesome camping trip with your family can turn into be a complete nightmare if you have not planned for your trip properly. And here are the biggest mistakes that new campers make that lead to problems when they're out with their family. Hey there, Trevor here from the Montana Style Outdoor Channel, where we make camping fun. And if you're new here, I hope you would consider subscribing because we give you tips, tricks to make your camping fun. So the first big mistake that most new campers make when they start camping is they do not do enough research on where they're going, what they need to bring, and what the weather is gonna be like. So before you even think about taking your family out camping, you need to do the research and know where you're going. If it's a campground, what rules, what you can and can't do. If you're dispersed camping, do you have cell service? All those types of things are very important. So the first big mistake most new campers make is they don't do enough research. They just load up a bunch of gear in their car. It seems harmless, and the next thing you know, it falls down to 30 degrees at night, and it rained a little bit, and you freeze nearly to death. Or some people can have, frozen to death. And you want to avoid that because one bad experience will end up having your family never want to do it again. And you can take it from me, there is nothing better than having your family with you out camping and enjoying the outdoors. I mean, I live in a beautiful state and I love going places and taking them with me, but if I would have ruined it for them in one of the first trips by not done my research, I might have never got to do it with them, and I've been doing it with them for over 20 years now. The second biggest mistake that I see a lot of campers making is not planning their meals properly. They get out into the woods, they packed a lot of stuff, and they haven't really thought, well, I'm gonna be out here for 2 days and I need this much water per person. I wanna have 3 meals. They haven't spent the time planning on their meal prep. And it's really important. If your food is gonna be staying cold, if you have to keep it cold. I went camping before and I've had friends show up and they don't have enough ice, their coolers are getting warm. They have sandwiches with mayo and it's like they have to throw it away. It's a problem. So making sure that you meal prep properly is super, super important. The next biggest mistake, mistake number 3 that a lot of campers make is not using a checklist. And I provide one, I talk about it in almost every video because it's that important. Just click on the link below. I went over pretty much everything that you need. I've even done a couple of videos on it, so I'll put some of those up in the end. But have a good checklist, whether you use my checklist, whether you use one off the internet, it doesn't matter. Build a checklist and make sure that you have everything that you need before you leave your house. Tip number 4, making sure you plan on having a decent campfire and a way to heat and boil water and to cook your food. I've seen so many people show up and it's a little wetter than they thought. They don't have dry wood. They have no way of getting a fire started, or if they do, it's really miserable. Plan to have a decent fire and a decent way to cook. And a lot of times here in Montana, we'll get later in the season and you can't have campfires. Camp stoves, decent grills, make sure that you have a nice, convenient way to cook meals for your family. Because having a nice meal after a nice hike, you sit down around the campfire, if you can have one, nothing's better. It's relaxing, it's a great time with your family. So pre-plan for it. Make sure you have fire starter, make sure you bring some paper or some other types of fire starters. I'm gonna link a couple of videos that I found online up in the description that have really good fire starter ideas. And a lot of times I will take like 2x4s or construction material, I'll split them up really small, I'll package them up, and I'll have 3 or 4 different fire starters all ready to go in my camper, and I just whip them out, get a fire started in 2 minutes. But if you didn't plan for it and it was wet, well, you might not have a fire, you might be cold, and once again, your family's not gonna have a good time. And the number 5th biggest mistake that I see campers making all of the time is they don't have a good first aid kit. So many times I've been camping and I go to cut a piece of line, whatever. I got a razor sharp knife and I cut my finger. One of my kids does, messing with fishing line or a fish pole. And if you don't have a good first aid kit, you can end up going home from your trip a little early just because you didn't plan for it. So number 5, the best tip is have a really, really good first aid kit. And then a bonus tip, especially if you're car camping, and I talked about this in another video, make sure that you have jumper cables, a decent blanket, and some stuff, because just in case for some reason you have a dead battery or you get stuck out longer than you think you're going to, you have to make sure to have basic survival gear. Don't ever leave your house without telling somebody where you're going, having basic survival gear, making sure that you know if you have cell service or if you don't have cell service, especially if you don't have cell service. Tell people when you plan to get back, because here in Montana, especially come around October and hunting season, they have the search and rescue out every year, finding people that something happens and they're not back when they're supposed to. So don't let that happen to you. Make sure that you plan your trip well. You make sure you have all the basic things. Make sure you have the stuff on your checklist, and you'll have an awesome time. Your family will love it, and you'll be camping for years. So if you got a little bit of knowledge out of this video or you enjoyed it, hey, give me a thumbs up or a like, and even consider subscribing, because I'm going to do a lot of these tips and I'm going to try to help make sure that you have an awesome camping experience, because me and my family, we love it. If we could go camping every single weekend, or eventually when I retire, if I could camp 75 or 80 days a summer, every weekend, that's kind of my goal. And I hope that you guys can have the same kind of goal. Look forward to seeing you in the next video. Have an awesome camping trip. Take care.